I assume that she is. Same for Kevin.
Kevin said he'll be a little bit late,
Okay.
but we have a quorum. At least we can.
Okay, what time is it again? State the time.
6:01.
Okay,
6:01.
very good. So we are recording.
Okay, thank you. So 6:01 HAC meeting of February 18, 2021. Gotta keep remembering to write 21. And at 6 o'clock,
Oh, it's here.
call to order. That was item number 1. We have in attendance Tom and Malaya. So we have a quorum. We expect the other 2 to join us soon. And others, welcome. We'll move to, do we have our public safety officer?
Well, no, hang on a second. Rosa, can you see, can you, we don't, okay, we don't have a public officer today. Can you,
Okay.
is Lazaro there? Okay,
Who's the officer? Jake?
Kevin Medley. Kevin Medley would be yeah,
The-
Kevin would be the, right,
Okay.
yeah, Kevin would be the one.
Okay, I just moved him over.
Okay. So are you there, Kevin?
Unmute yourself. Kevin, if you can hear us, you're on mute, and we're ready for our public safety update. Or if you're not ready, we'll move ahead to Brightview if they've
Is
got some.
Lazaro there on the list?
Kevin's here comes.
Okay,
There we go.
there we go. Sorry, it took me a minute to get going here.
No worries. We've all been there. You're on.
Me up, okay. Our report for the month is a good thing. It's fairly simple. Crime-wise, there was nothing in University Glen area to report. All we had of incident-wise was a couple of vandalisms at the dairy out there over the past month.
What's
And
there to vandalize?
a lot of times, either at the front gate there or inside the abandoned buildings, I don't know, kids, I guess, come by and tag them, fresh graffiti. That's kind of the extent of the vandalism.
Okay.
And a couple of medical calls we had up in UG for various reasons, and that's kind of it for activity. Is there any questions that someone might have that I could maybe try to answer?
Yeah, I've got one. The other day I saw some activity in the 32-acre project.
The unincorporated area up there, phase 3?
Yeah, there were some police vehicles and a helicopter at one point.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot. That was, it started a couple days ago. The sheriff's department were basically chasing a suspect, and they lost him through the chase. And they notified us through dispatch that they lost the guy someplace in the area to us out on the public streets. And so we were keeping an eye out, looking around for him. Some sheriff's deputies were also in the area looking for this guy. And lost him, nobody found him. And it wasn't until the next day, I guess, because our officers went in there to the undeveloped phase 3, and didn't see anything unusual. This guy that they were chasing actually went through the gate up there and went way back there to the far end of it, and probably didn't know where he was going, went off one of the dirt pads and crashed his car.
Oh, geez.
So all that said and done, he got in there, crashed his car, and took off on foot. And so they didn't find him. They know who he is. They have his car. So it's in their hands now. That's the story.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
It might be useful just to remind people, there are some students still on campus, I think, right?
Yes, there's a handful of students at various times.
And the coffee shop at the library is open. you can buy lunch there, as long as, of course, you have to have a mask. So anyway,
Yeah, they actually give you a very large portion for your money there,
Yeah.
actually.
it's a good deal.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions for Kevin? Thank you very much,
All
Kevin.
right, thank you.
Moving on, I see Lazaro. Welcome, Lazaro. Maybe give us a Brightview update. You're on mute right now.
A question. There was somebody raised their hand regarding the incident out at the 32 acres, and they're asking, she's asking whether the owners should be vigilant. My understanding from talking with Drake Massey was that they did not think there was anything particular to be worried about at the present time.
All right.
Okay, we didn't consider it an alert, but that's fine. We noted your comment, Miriam. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to Lazaro and Brightview.
Okay, are you there? Are you there, Lazaro?
Looks like he's rejoining.
Oh, okay.
Somebody chatted, do we have a neighborhood watch? And we
Can
don't.
you guys hear me?
You're a
can hear
little
you,
choppy,
Lazaro.
Lazaro, but we can kind of hear you.
All right. Yeah, my signal is not the best. My truck, my office right now.
Okay,
Do you want us to skip you till you can get to a better spot, and I can go ahead with a couple of the committee report outs?
Yeah.
You want to do that? Okay. So I'll go ahead and talk about social committee and landscape committee, if that's okay with you, Chris.
Of course. Thank you.
Okay, so social committee, we are working out a couple of questions before we present the 2021-2022 calendar of events. Specifically, we're trying to figure out what we're allowed to do on the CI campus. So we expected to have a report out of events for you today. However, that has been delayed due to some information that we were just provided with today, that a link specifically that we were provided with, that we kind of need to take a look at and figure out what exactly we can and cannot do on campus. So we'll have a more thorough report for you next month. In terms of the landscape report out, it'll be short and sweet. I'm really happy with the results of last month. There was 15 new landscape requests. Of those, 12 were completed and only 3 are pending. So if you've been following this like historically, that's a really great improvement. I feel like we've had a lot more of open tickets left at the end of each month historically. So this is a really great improvement, and I appreciate all the hard work that's gone into making that happen. The one thing that I wanted to add for any homeowner that's listening right now, I just want to make sure that everybody is aware that when you log into Rent Cafe, there is a link to the UGCAM address. So if you don't have that saved into your email, you can easily access that and you can submit your work order requests there, whether they are landscape related or not. But I wanted to make sure that everybody realized, so I'm not still receiving emails and text messages personally, but I was when I first took on this position. But hopefully everybody knows that there is a more direct way of reaching the UGCAM office. So again, when you log into the Rent Cafe to pay your HOA dues or your CAM fees, there is a spot there for you to click on the UGCAM email address, and it makes it very easy to submit any work orders that you might have. So if you need that email address, I'm sure we can add it to the minutes, Chris, so that people have it available to them. Because obviously going through any one of the HAC members is not as clear or direct as it can be, and it delays any progress on the issues that you might be experiencing. So that's all I have for social committee and landscape committee. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to chat them in and or reach me personally. I think everybody has my phone number. I'm happy to share it. It's 805-312-5350, or If you want to email me, it's maliahopper@yahoo.com. But any questions or concerns that you might have in reference to social and/or landscape committee, you can reach me either in the chat or at one of those two options. That's all I have.
Thank you very much.
I would also offer that there's also you can go online on the website, on the University Glen website, and there's a place there that you can make contact, and if you do that, it comes right to our computer. So you could do a work order there as well. So there are multiple ways to get to us if you don't have the actual ugcam@kennedywilson.com email. Okay, thank you, Malia.
For sure.
Maybe we can segue to Lazaro now, and there he is.
Yeah, hopefully my signal's a little better now. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, you sound good.
Great. All right, I'll make this quick. So just wanted to report that Jay and myself is successful to complete most of the, pretty much all of the inner portions of the community, which is like all of the apartments and single family homes, townhomes, in regards to the irrigation inspection that was completed a few months ago. And so right now we just have left over the outer perimeter along Channel Islands and the park area and the town center. So I feel confident that we're gonna be able to get that completed in maybe in 2 more days, if at all. So I'm happy to report that we are pretty much done reviewing the work that was completed, and in doing so, we were able to adjust some stuff that we saw along the way, such as, like adjusting some nozzles that were hitting some AC units that were overspraying into the walkways, things like that, that we were able to fix on the fly. And we're able to flag some areas that obviously were seeing a technician to address. And so I'm very confident. Just wanted to take a moment to express my gratitude to Jake for staying such long days, sometimes to get through those clocks. And so I think we're in a better place today than we were like a few months ago. And so that's the kind of the irrigation update. We should be done. Jake and myself have another meeting tomorrow from 2 to 4 to continue our irrigation inspection. And so we're hopeful that we're gonna get through maybe half of what we have remaining and maybe another day and we should be done. Also, we have, as you guys know, we haven't received a lot of rain. We had some rain a few weeks back. And so we were able to turn off our irrigation, but it's been, we haven't had any more rain recently. So it's been windy. So we had to turn the water on. And so the grounds are getting dry. And so we just want to make sure that the grass and the plant material is getting enough water. Obviously, we are closely monitoring the amount of water that we are giving the landscape to make sure that we are using the water wisely. So hopefully we get some more rain so we can save on some water. That's my hope. Another thing, we're just prepping for the springtime right now, doing the last push on deep cleaning the beds, cleaning the rest of the whatever foliage that we have in the planter beds, renovating some of the plant materials such as morellas, birds of paradise, that it's like a one-time per year plant material that we have to renovate and get it ready for the springtime, summertime. That's something that we are working on. Something else that we are going to be working on is fertilizing the grass this March, so that we get it ready for spring and summer. A few areas that we still have to seed and top dress, that I've been noticing as we go around checking irrigation. So that's something else that we'll be addressing in the next through March. That's kind of what I have. We are chatting with. We're gonna be in conversations with the HAC meeting, HAC committee, landscape committee, and the apartments. Kind of resume conversations about the refurbishing project, but that's kind of like we're like gonna revisit those conversations hopefully sometime next week. So hopefully next meeting we have some more updates on that. That's kind of what I have. I think I also forgot to mention that we're gonna be doing some mulching in March. It's part of the contract. And so I'll be providing that schedule to Jake sometime tomorrow or most likely Monday, but that's something else that we are going to be working on next week. And if anybody has any questions, any concerns, that I'm happy to take down a note.
Yeah, Lazaro, this is Tom Bokart. I'm not sure if this is for you or for the bag or for Jake, but in terms of the larger landscape update project, we've had discussions in the past about what time of year is the best time to conduct, this major renovation project. And from what I recall, we were trying to target trying to get a bulk of the work in before the summer hit. So I guess my question is, is the window closing on us, and are we going to be able to move forward with any kind of substance? So maybe that's a landscape committee question, Malia. I don't know.
I think what I would comment is that it is on the table, and Lazaro and I have been talking about a way forward that maybe a cost-effective way to address. One of the things that I think people realize is that with Brightview in control of the irrigation, it seems like when we've needed more water, we've been able to add more water, and so things are looking better. Particularly the rosemary is not as distressed as it looked back in September. And so I think it's time for us, together with the HAC landscape group, is to kind of reevaluate what we may be wanting to do as part of the phase 1 refurbishing. And I've been in contact with Mission Hills as well. And so there will be looking at next week, talking more to you, Malia. We can talk about availability for you and Gabrielle. And as I've had conversations with Lazaro as how some of his designers may be able to help us get this done.
So
Sounds good, Jake. Do we want to talk at all, Jake, about the refresh, the landscape refresh? Because I don't know if that's something that we want to bring up here, if you want to talk about that, or if you want to hold off on that.
I think we, the committee, and Brightview, I think it is a good, how would you say, thing. It's coming to the fore. Yeah. And I think right now we don't have anything specific to put forth, but I wanted to talk with you as the representatives of the community. So we may find a way forward that doesn't cost as much money.
Yeah, I think that was my main concern, was just making sure that the community understands that we are working on this. And for some of the units, obviously we're trying to use the funds, distribute the funds fairly across the units. However, that's difficult depending on the size of the unit, the landscape, where they sit, what will grow there. And that applies to my unit too. So I just want everybody to understand that we are actively working on it. And it is going to go slower than we had hoped for, because we're running into budgetary confines for certain units. And obviously we want to make sure that we are trying to distribute those funds as fairly as possible across all units. So for those that are listening, it's not stalled in any way, shape, or form. We're just trying to find ways to reach our end goal and make it as fair for all units as possible.
So last I'd heard that the reserve budget, it was about $500,000 for this fiscal year. The plan was to do a pilot, I'll call it that, down Anacapa and Smugglers or one of the other streets. Is that not part?
Well, what has happened is that we have done some refurbishing at specific locations.
Yeah.
And that those have kind of become the pilots, you know, because
Okay.
because we did have kind of a, what's it called, a plant list, a palette, and that we have locations where basically everything that's on the palette has been planted to address specific concerns. And so now what we're looking at is how do we move forward to choose the locations where what needs to be done at each location. And I'm in conversation with Lazaro about how Brightview may be able to help us with that. So, you know, because the plants look a lot better than they did a year ago.
Okay, I guess
A lot of it.
Yeah, Jake, I guess the point is that that plan, the Anacapa and Smugglers or whatever it was, that we're kind of changing from that.
No. What I'm looking at is that we have the Anacapa from Rincon to Channel Islands, and then Landing Cove, the 2 blocks of Landing Cove. Those were all part of what we had gotten a price from Brightview in the amount of $158,000 to address. Okay. And so that is kind of the area where we're talking about, is there a more effective, cost-effective way to address each location without having a big design vignette or charrette with each place, with each address. And so that's what I want to talk to Malia and Gabrielle about, because Lazaro and I have kind of done some brainstorming on it. So the next phase, the next conversation is with the HAC's committee.
So we are still focused on those 2 areas. Of
those areas, yes.
Yeah. All right.
Right.
Thank you. Sorry for being confused.
No, okay, no problem.
Jake, we have a couple questions, which
Okay.
I will attempt to answer, which are landscape related, which I think I know the answer to. However, please correct me if I'm wrong. The first question is, what is the criterion for budget allocations? My understanding is that we have a budget for the landscape refresh, and we have divided that among equally among the townhome and single family homes. Is that correct?
And also the apartments.
And also
it basically
the
takes the amount, the funds that are available. What we had looked at was that there was a $500,000 budget number that's in the reserves. Okay. And then and we talked about a small percentage for coordination in that. And so we were looking at a budget right now of $465,000 divided by 600 comes up with $775 per door. And so that's the conversation of how do we use that most effectively, acknowledging that there are some locations that do not require $775 and others that may require a little bit more.
So so basically each apartment door is included in that, correct?
Correct.
Even though they don't have landscape specifically
in front of their door.
Yeah.
They're the way it goes by how it is paid. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And then the second question was,
they contribute to the CAM just like
Right.
all it's like an individual owner. Yeah.
okay. And then the second question was, who goes first, who goes last? How did you decide that? I believe it was, we were kind of basing it off of the current condition of the landscape. Is that correct?
Correct. What we had talked about was that all along we were saying, let's do one area first. And that was determined that it was going to be between the roundabout on Anacapa and Rincon all the way to the roundabout at Channel Islands and Anacapa. And then in our last conversation, it was, yes, the landscaping on Landing Cove had not been addressed in a sufficient way for many years. And so we added Landing Cove, the 2 blocks of Landing Cove onto that.
Okay, and we just got another question. What is the condition criterion for landscape status? I would say, I mean, we have some units. If you want to walk by my unit, I'm not sure who chatted that in. If you want to walk by my unit, you can see there's like basically no landscape. I have underground hoses and dirt. So I think, and I am by no means the first person in line to have my landscape done, but if you walk around the neighborhood, you'll see certain units that are just atrocious, mine being one of those. But again, by no means not putting mine first in line. So I would say, obviously, we all want to live in a beautiful community. We all want to have a beautiful landscape. So as you walk through the neighborhood, it's really easy to identify those units that are in desperate need of a landscape refresh. So that is kind of what we're going with, is my understanding, correct?
That's accurate.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
And-
if, go ahead.
And I would offer, Miriam had chatted up, is it in the budget? And yes, Miriam, the reserves have been budgeted for this. So the money is there.
I have a suggestion for, that might help everybody, is if we got a list of addresses where the new palette has been used, and then just kind of publish that, we could say, hey, go look here, here, and here, and this is kind of where we're headed.
Okay,
Could be useful.
we can do that. Yes. I think what I would like to do is that next week, I'll coordinate with the HAC's landscape committee, and we'll get together and talk more about the approach, and then we can include that and maybe send an email out or an e-blast out and say to follow up on the HAC's conversation. This is what we've had a meeting, and this is where we are today. And here are the couple of locations. One of them's on Anacapa, and then there are a couple of locations on Landing Cove. Okay.
And again, for anybody who's on the call, homeowners, please don't hesitate to send me any sort of emails or even text me questions regarding this topic if you don't particularly feel like you want to chat those in. And hopefully we can get those answered at the next meeting and make those part of the minutes.
In fact, one last question for whoever, and that's just about the trees. Just the status. Are we done trimming, and is there tree
Well,
plant?
that's part of my report, but I can tell you now that next Thursday, that Brightview will be back to complete their building clearance and trimming at the coves at the apartments. They are complete with the single families and townhomes. Those were done a little earlier in the year, and so they're finishing up on that. That should be done on Thursday, and so that will complete that portion of their contract.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I think, and with nothing else for Lazaro, we thank you, Lazaro, for your time. And
Guys.
go have a
Thank you.
burger. On the agenda would be finance. I was going to wait to see if Kevin can still join us. So maybe if Tom doesn't mind, we could move down to rules and his report, and even the after that. And then we'll circle back to finance
Move it down.
when Kevin joins us. If you could just scroll up, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so the Rules Committee has made a little bit of progress since last month. I think at Chris's suggestion, going to try a different approach for getting input from both the committee and the HAC. And we'll see if we can't put the draft of the rules and regulations document out in some kind of Google Drive location, and let everyone review and actually put their comments into the Word document itself at their leisure. So that'll make it a little bit easier to manage. I see a couple of other items here. Solar panels, that was discussed at the CAG meeting as well. I think there's not been much progress on solar panel PIAs or requests for installation.
I saw a commercial just an hour ago saying how the tax credits were extended. Does anyone know about that? Another year for tax credits for installation? That may not be true, but something like that.
We had a discussion maybe 3-4 weeks ago amongst us on the HAC about a particular PIA situation or potential PIA situation. So the question arose as to when PIAs are or are not required. I don't know how we resolve that. Chris, do you have is that a one-off meeting somewhere?
Well, I'm just wondering, and I don't have it handy. I mean, I haven't looked at it in a while. I think the website, correct me if I'm wrong, Jake, you've got some instructions there regarding PIAs to some, is there some way to just enhance that or kind of?
We can look at that. Basically, it comes down, what part of the PIA has to do with whether it needs to get a building permit or not.
Yeah.
Because
Almost like a flow chart, you know?
And that's part of the, to me, seems a little bit of the confusion.
Yeah.
Because the, with the interiors and that, thinking that you don't have to, if you don't have to get most everything you do that would be adding walls or adding electricity, particularly power and plumbing or structural items, all of those need a building permit. And as part of the building permit process, a PIA is required because on the second page, it talks about whether it's a capital improvement or not. So that's if there's going to be a building permit there, part of it is a PIA needs to be included. That doesn't mean that it's going to be reviewed by the HAC. There is a spot on the second page where the site authority personnel can say this does not have to be reviewed by the HAC for visual or aesthetic reasons. One of those would be if it's interior.
So
Maybe-
yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Well, I was gonna say, maybe we could work up, in Word, you can call up these templates that are kind of like bubbles and arrows, and it's like a flow chart. And so it's in one bubble you put, are you changing electricity, et cetera, and then you have yes, no, and if it's yes, you need a PIA. And then below that you would put, is this a change that is visible from the common area, yes or no? And then you'd have an arrow, kind of like a simple little flow chart that takes you to you do or you don't need a PIA. Is that something maybe we can look at?
We can look at it, sure.
We could try that. Chris, I don't know if this falls within the rules and regulations update, but could also in there just put together as specific as possible a list of situations where a PIA is required.
Yeah. Well, we're thinking the same way, just sort of graphically.
Like if it involves electrical work, yes, it's required because permit's required. Is it changing the structural component of your unit? Yes.
Yeah.
And I think in the situation that started this all, the question had to do with a particular change that was made that was visible, and it was a common change that many owners have done. And the question was, is a PIA required? And right now, as best I can tell in the ground sublease, a PIA is required for any visible change to the exterior of your home, even if it's a common change. So I'd suggest that that basic criteria still fall in place. It may be cut and dried, and we may even want to revisit a list of things that are
Pre-approved.
commonly approved, so that owners know they can kind of plan with knowledge that the PIA will almost certainly be approved. So I'll try and figure out if I can put a list of PIA criteria together so owners can.
I'll work with you, Tom, on that. See if we can make it into kind of like a flow chart.
Okay.
Question and answer.
Okay.
Jake, do we still have someone who wanted to speak later on about addendums to the sublease? Is that still what you,
I don't know, Patrick, I had not gotten, I had been in
Confirmation.
contact with Patrick McClone, but I have not, he had some questions.
okay,
But to my knowledge, he hasn't sent me a list that I was going to read.
Okay.
I haven't received that. Patrick,
Okay.
everyone, can we just address it now? He's in the chat. If we want to do it, if you want to do it later, you know, he's on. So we can do that later. However
we'll
you
do
want
that.
to handle it, Chris.
well, that's the idea. That's at the end of the agenda under new business. But we should be through the agenda fairly soon. Tom, do you want to continue? Well, let me give you a break if you don't mind. I want to introduce to the rest of the HAC, I sent you this ahead of time, I believe, this letter to the site authority. And maybe Rosa, you can put it on the screen. As you everyone may not know, some 3 or 4 members of the site authority are changing due to local elections and rotating memberships under that site authority legislation. And these, between that and staff that support them, excellent staff, no criticism there. You know, there's almost a fairly substantial turnover of people involved in the site authority and management of the UG over the last 3 or 4 years, and especially since Kennedy Wilson moved in 2016. So things have changed. So the tone of the letter, I wrote this and I'm open to your suggestions by all means, but the idea was to welcome the new members and kind of emphasize that this is a town of 2,000 people and they are kind of a quasi-local government / HOA, but legally they're neither. And we're waiting for a letter to kind of spell that out. So that's a continuing question. And then there's a paragraph about what Tom discovered and asking them to clarify about that irrigation infrastructure repayment over the last 15 years, how that was divided between East and West Campus. Could they please explain? And it seems like we're paying for facilities for the 3rd phase that never got used. And, you know, we're not directly saying that's unfair, but clarify and see what their answer is. And then remind them that they have fiduciary responsibilities, et cetera. And we want to work together well, et cetera, et cetera. So if you've had a chance to look at it, if you haven't, maybe we can, did Tom or Malaya, did either of you take a look at it?
I did, and I didn't have any further comments. I think I asked you about that. You also had a reference to the 20%.
Oh yeah, right. The
county general tax issue, which I think is an intriguing question.
Yeah, that's, everybody pays the Prop 13 1% tax. If you, in our taxing district here, about 20% of the 1% goes to the county general fund. However, instead of that, it is sent to the site authority. So 20% of 1% of whatever your taxed value is, mine worked out to about $800 a year. And the question is, normally, if this were a local government, that kind of money would pay for things like flushing the storm drains and typical city government public works type activities. Instead, we pay for some of these things. And the question is, you know, while it may be legal to sort of double charge us, we're just asking about that as an issue. So Malaya, did you have any questions or anything?
No, I had a look at it and I didn't have any additional questions or comments.
Now, we haven't directly heard back from Ben Gordon as to whether Kennedy Wilson likes the letter or have any changes. While we're sitting here, I just kind of wrote them out and made it only from the HAC. However, if he responds tomorrow or before Monday, the next site authority meeting is this coming Monday at 11:30. And I'd like to have the letter presented to them. So between now and Monday, whether Kennedy Wilson is on or off, either way, I want to send the letter. I'd like to get a motion from the from you all to, that's okay to send the letter with or without, revised or not, depending on Kennedy Wilson, but the same letter.
Chris, can I ask for a clarification?
Of course.
Can you present that during the public comments section?
I will.
Okay,
Like I
got
do.
it. Great.
And I hopefully the tone is, serious but friendly. And, what I'm concerned about, and not taking off on a tangent here, is the new site authority members don't know much about the history potentially, and what they will hear about the history of ongoing issues here, well, will reflect whoever's telling them that, and not assuming that's biased or anything, but we want to make sure our side of it is told as well. So that's kind of the tone. So if you have a motion, hopefully.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we present at the site authority board meeting in the public comments section, the letter and a verbal presentation of that by Chris
Right.
for next Monday, and pretty much the substance of what he has drafted.
I'll second that.
All right, Malaya, thank you. And all in favor, say aye. Thank you.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
I thank you, Rosa, for putting that up, and I'll get you a new version, our final version as soon as I can, and certainly no later than Monday morning, or I'll try for tomorrow very much. Okay, thank you all. But back to you, Tom. This is your part of the agenda of the Community Advisory Group and/or the Site Authority. We do have it ready to show on the screen the draft charter that they put out on January 28th, the CAG charter. Maybe Rosa can bring that up. I don't think we've really talked about it. There's some changes, or looked like some changes in the membership, but essentially it kind of looked like the same thing. The next CAG meeting is on the next Thursday.
Yep.
So if we wanted to have comments about their charter, unless it's on the agenda of the site authority on Monday, that I don't know. I don't know. Rosa, do you know that if it's being adopted or something on Monday by the site authority? She's probably trying to.
Yeah, it doesn't look like she's on.
Chris, in terms of that draft charter, I think I provided my thoughts in writing to you, and I'm trying to characterize my thoughts. I'm not terribly excited about it.
Yeah, I know it was.
It seems well. I don't know if we want to get into the discussion here, but it doesn't seem very meaty, and my concern has always been that I personally was hoping the CAG would be more than a kumbaya kind of meeting where we all talk about things, and it's like, oh, that's all good, and then it kind of goes off in the ether, and you really don't know what's supposed to happen, who's going to decide, are they going to decide, when are they going to decide on an issue. And so it didn't seem very meaty to me. So I was maybe disappointed.
Yeah, I
It's a
remember.
really good description.
Yeah.
So and you have my comments.
Well, why don't we do this? If it's on the site authority agenda on Monday, Tom, would you normally be going to that meeting as well?
I usually do, yes.
I can also, if we see it on the agenda, one of us should put in a speaker request to just say what you basically said.
Yeah.
We'll do it verbally.
I think the dilemma with that is that I don't think the agenda is published to that level of detail.
Well, we'll rely on Rosa to tell.
Yeah, I think you'll need to have Rosa as secretary of the site authority board tell us, is it going to be presented and ratified, or?
Yeah. Well, we could address it anyway. Just say the CAG has issued this on January 28th. We don't know if it's on your agenda, but here's our comments. And the CAG meeting the following 3 days later, we could do the same thing.
Yeah, let me I'll ping Lori and Rosa.
Okay,
And because to be fair, this probably is an issue that should come back through the CAG if it's still in draft form and being
okay,
bantered about. So I can find out if
yeah.
it's still in draft form, because it should go back into the CAG process. In which case I need other comments from.
Yeah,
the rest of you.
I was texting Rosa about it, and she says she does not believe that the CAG
Okay.
charter is being voted on Monday.
Okay, so let's assume it's not, and then it will come up, or should come up on the Thursday meeting with the CAG, for sure. Yeah, okay. That would be the better way to do it anyway. Okay. So I think anything, I'm taking your spot here, Tom. I don't want to.
That's right. Oh,
Did you have
You want
anything
me-
else under yours?
yeah. So there's probably probably 6 or 7 items. I'll roll through these real quickly. So the CAG meeting was a little bit different, and then we had spent a large part of the meeting in a discussion with Chief Morris of the police department. He was our special guest, and he came on to address a lot of enforcement issues and things that we have been asking. I'll characterize a couple of things out of that discussion. One is that campus police will always, if there's any kind of danger or anything like that to residents or anything contentious, whether it's a state law or not, they will try and defuse the situation. That's what they always attempt to do. The indication was that the university president nor the board of trustees apparently has the ability to set rules, policies, and laws for University Glen. I'll challenge that. I do need to get a little research, but that was stated in the meeting as well. And I had committed to provide to Chief Morris examples of hopefully real life situations in our community and how the police department would respond or not, and what they could enforce or not, and see if that'll help give us some clarification. And finally, I'll say Chief Morris admitted our situation is very complex from a policing perspective, and I don't think he has all the answers about some things that were discussed briefly. So it's a little concerning, but hopefully we can make some progress on that. Going through a couple of other things. So the Wells Fargo Bank situation that holds our reserves came up. There's some issues with that account, and that's being worked on right now pertaining to the interest rate and FDIC insurance coverage. Another interesting thing of note, Ben Gordon commented about the 32-acre project, indicated they're at least another 6 to 8 months away, and that they're having to deal with some prevailing wages requirements for the construction crew. And so again, 6 to 8 months further away before any activity is going to occur. And that's pretty much it of all the substantive issues. If anyone's interested in reading all the details, the minutes are online for the CAG, but I think those were the highlights.
Okay, thank you. And we're almost done here for those of you hanging in. Kevin hasn't been able to join us. He said he had a school board meeting that might run. He didn't think it would run long, but he might be stuck there. So I'll just make a quick note about the finance. Maybe you can back up, Victoria, a little bit on your, thank you. Let's see, what did I put in here? I don't have any more recent monthly annual expense report. Maybe Jake does. And Jake, I kick these to you, Jake, whether or not just the status of the insurance information meeting we are looking forward to at some point. Let's see. And then the letter I mentioned, and that's, I don't know that Kevin had any other issues, but these are the ones, that's basically all I had to add there. Kind of segues to you, Jake, and in your report.
I can mention where Rosa and I are on the insurance, is that Rosa has sent all of the questions over to Alliant, and that she and I are planning on meeting and talking with Alliant and putting, that's the insurance carrier, and getting answers to the questions, and that we're looking at potentially having the community forum about insurance on Tuesday, March 25th. Have a Zoom meeting on it.
March 25th.
Jake, would Alliance be at that meeting?
That's what the plan is, that we're talking to them, and what is the most effective way to do it. And that's what we're trying to do. Yes.
Okay.
Can't promise it, but that's the intention. And this would be after our next HAC meeting. So we would be able to, bring up have an update and keep the community apprised of it as well.
It's a week after the HAC. Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
All right. So you're on, Jake, with the rest of your monthly report.
Just wanted to bring up that regarding the CAM budget, that we've been meeting with the BAG. The BAG came back with, we submitted it as of February 1st, which is what our contract for KWP requires. And we did that. And we've had a meeting with the CAG members, and they came back with some very valid comments, and we have reworked that. And I anticipate having another CAG meeting either Tuesday, Wednesday next week.
You're speaking BAG, Jake, not CAG?
BAG.
Yeah.
BAG, but Budget Advisory Group. Yes, right. I'm talking budget. And so we're looking at how we can keep the budget within the constraints that were agreed to last year. And so when those become more clear, there's still a few moving parts that we will run it past the BAG, and then Rosa, my understanding is needs it to be final by the end of the month, the final number. And then at that point, we'll be able to be more clear about the decisions that were recommended. Okay, so your representatives are very aware of what's going on.
Jake, does the budget process include an update to the reserve studies?
This year, for next year,
yes.
There is an allotment for it. This year there was also, and we used the level 3 for the budgeting for this year.
So there is a new level 3. There are
for next year. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And they'll be approved later on this spring.
That's the intention, is that usually it's in the site our budget rolls over into the site authority's budget, which rolls over into the CSUCI budget. And so that is all voted on by the site authority in their April-May meeting. And so when that occurs, the intention is that it will be voted on at that point. When it becomes official, that then we will provide a notification to everyone what the anticipated result is as far as how it affects the owners.
Yes, but so let me be real clear. So we will see new reserve studies posted at some point in time in the next few months they're an update of what was done a year ago?
No, there was not.
Okay, there will not. Okay.
There was not for this year. No.
Okay.
One of the things, Tom, for your information, one of the things that we've realized is that it's time to revisit really go through the reserve studies again, because there are a lot of things that we're much clearer on. Like for instance, the street lights, we don't have to paint the street lights because of the way that they're finished and that kind of thing. So we're more detailed now that we're more aware of what we need.
Yes. Okay. The reason why I ask is because the budget obviously has to consider any changes to funding for reserves. So, and what little I've seen, and I haven't been that involved with budget stuff, but reserve expenditures, for example, for townhomes are, so far this fiscal year, are unexpected in terms of what categories we're spending on. Like, I don't think we had anything budgeted for garage doors in last year's reserve study. So just
We're
trying to figure out if we've got a sense for how our reserves are going to look at the end of this fiscal year.
Yes, we do. And part of what has transpired, maybe Tom, you and I can talk about this, because what we've done is with the site authority personnel have requested we've to differentiate, for instance, with the windows that we've been doing replacement, a number of, so that they can have the cash available that from the reserves. And so we've gone through and put it's basically a budget for what we anticipate the reserves will be, particularly for the townhomes in the coming year. And that will come out of the reserves, having to do with the garage doors, having to do with the gates and fences and the other piece as well. So those are the things that
Okay.
we've been working on.
Okay, I didn't mean to dive too far into it. Chris and Kevin on the bag can certainly deal with all
They're
that.
very aware of it,
Yep,
yes.
okay.
Okay, the next item that I had was that within the community, there continue to be homes and individuals who are concerned about the COVID directives and how some members of the community feel one way about them and otherwise feel what is acceptable and what isn't. And it has come to my attention that members of the HAC would feel that it's in our best interest to for the CAM office to not post signs regarding COVID directives. And so we can comply with that, and if there are questions about COVID directives, that we will let people know that we will let the HAC members know that there are concerns and that we can talk about how to do that, how to address it, so that we are not perceived as policing the community in regard to COVID directives. Everybody knows they're in effect and that we're all adults. So that's where we are on that one, okay? Then wanted to bring it up regarding the pool. At this time, the Hillcrest Pool is the one pool that we have open to address the heating bill particularly, and that seems to be effective. With that, the pool monitor is only cleaning one pool and doesn't need to go back and forth between. And so we reduced the cleaning time to 15 minutes so we can actually get an extra hour of pool time in at the Hillcrest. And so that will be in effect at a minimum until the end of March, when we'll reevaluate the pool situation. Okay, and we talked about the planters. That's pretty much what we've covered. I was going to mention some about the landscaping and the refurbishing, and so we'll have more on that next month. So if there aren't any questions, we can move on.
Jake, somebody's asking if the signs are going to be removed, the ones that are already existing in reference to COVID. I think we're okay to leave what's
The ones that are there.
currently.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Patrick, we'll leave what's up currently. We just won't be placing any new or additional ones.
Upon complaint.
And then Miriam, did you get the answer to your question regarding the garage doors? I'm hoping you can chat quickly. She did not. She wanted to know what aspect of the garage doors are you speaking of?
It was determined by the site authority personnel that in regard to the townhomes only, that per the ground sublease, that we would provide for replacement of springs having to do with manual operation. And that if any electronics would be, which is not required for the actual operation, but is more of a convenience, is something that the individual owners would be responsible for. And so what we've been, so that is that with regard to the garage doors, we have monies in the reserves on the budget line of the reserves to replace garage door springs. And if there were panels that were damaged because of the way that the torquing of the panel was, because of the spring not operating and that kind of thing, that would be what would be replaced. Usually the replacement is somewhere between $350 and up to like $750, with an occasional one being higher depending on the nature of the problem. But what we are paying for is only to provide manual operation using the spring, not any of the electronics that are associated with it. Is that clear?
So Jake, in terms of garage doors, all the repair work is a result of wear and tear?
Wear and tear, right.
Okay.
Yeah, basically if your door doesn't open.
It's not where someone backed into the garage door or anything like that?
Then it would be, yeah, well, we may replace it, we may get it replaced, but then it would go into that it would be who caused the accident and who do we send the bill to.
Right, okay, thank you.
And then one more thing to add to that, to the garages. So Jake, doesn't it, we've had multiple problems with our garage door. I know that there's something that they do cover and that they don't cover. It's the motor, or it's not the I don't remember. Can you specify?
We do not cover the motor or any of the electronics. Basically, we cover the spring and the manual operation.
That's what it was. Okay.
Okay.
I wanted to make sure that it was clear. So Miriam, I hope that answers your question. And to whoever the homeowner is, yes, the spring is covered by the HAC. Only the motor is not covered. Okay.
Or the motor or any of the clickers or anything like that.
Right.
Or the electric eye or all that. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you so much, Jake.
Yep.
Hey, Jake, are you finished? I know.
Okay, the person who's asking, what do you do for the spring? Let me know and I will call and make an appointment and put you in contact with garage door doctor, and they will call you. We'll give them your number and they will call you. Okay, if you've already replaced it, you can send us the receipt saying, like from garage door doctor or Ventura garage door or whatever, and say this is what you did, and send it to us and we'll evaluate it and make sure that if it's just for the spring, that then we'll go ahead and from another vendor. Send us the receipt and a description of what was replaced, and we'll take it from there. We'll investigate and be in contact with you. Okay.
Okay. Anything else, Jake?
Nope, that's pretty much what I had.
Okay, Kevin's joined us. Thank you, Kevin. Welcome. Don't know if you want to add anything or have any questions. I took a stab at the finance and budget section. If you wanted to chip in anything on your own there, you probably missed it. Okay. Looks like on our agenda, we jumped to number 9. That's neat. Just want to not turn this into a long discussion unless it's necessary. I'll try to stab at it, and Jake, you might have to jump in, but over the 15 to 20 years that the houses have been here, various telephone companies or telecommunications have probably installed equipment. Sometimes they're in plastic boxes inside your garage, usually. Sometimes they're mounted on the outside. And then when subsequent owners or residents change from Verizon to Sprint or something like that, these boxes are often left behind. No one removes them, including the companies that put them up. And in there, there could be a battery. The battery is intended to keep the phone alive in the event of a blackout or some kind of power offage, but the battery does eventually die out, and it will beep, or the box will beep occasionally, in a nuisance way, perhaps trying to get your attention to change the battery. Of course, if you're not using that equipment, that's not your vendor, you really don't want to leave a battery hanging on the wall indefinitely. So for all residents if you've got these things and they're inside your garage, you probably already noticed. I guess there's a few still in the area, and we're working with Brett Eastman to identify which houses still have these boxes and contact those individual owners and basically say, hey, if you're using this service, have it replace the battery. If you're not using it, Jake can get hold of Verizon or Sprint or whoever and probably have them come out and remove it. How's that, Jake? Is that
That's pretty much it. I think where this comes from is that obviously within the community, there are those that are more sensitive to sound than other people. And we've received, I guess, the complaints regarding the noise. And we have tried to address it. And you may have noticed in I think it was October, November, we even included instructions on what to do and, that kind of thing. And it seems that some people have addressed that. Others have called the CAM office and have addressed it. There are videos online about how to address it and various things. And what we are trying to address is how do we respond to people who complain about their neighbors' beepers, things beeping, without spending an inordinate amount of time, and at the same time not making it the person who is in question appear to be snooping around the neighbors when they hear beeping. And because in that sense, it's how do you address it? And so Chris and I were talking about this, and Chris came up with the idea of, and we have one particular area of having Brett Eastman listen in that area and determine which ones they are, and if they can be dismantled or the battery dismantled to address it, or have, our electrician say, it's come to our attention that this is a problem, could you do this, and assist and deal with it to address this individual concern in this particular case.
Is this
Okay.
beeping that just goes on and on and on and on?
It's intermittent. It goes sometimes, usually it's about every half an hour. Some of them are every 10 minutes.
Oh,
And there's some of them are inside the garage, and some of them are outside, But I called Verizon and they said, if it is obsolete equipment, they said, let us know and we'll come and pick it up. So, it's kind of the next phase. It's more of a coordination of how do you address it. And, to ask Brett Eastman to maybe spend a couple hours identifying them, that, as our electrician, that would seem to be a way to move forward.
We have a question from one of the homeowners. How can we identify these boxes? I have a beeping sound every 10 minutes. And
You can go into your garage. They're either in the garage and listen for it, or it's on the outside on the wall by it's a wall mounted box. And so and so it's like, if you can hear something coming from that, that's where the battery is located.
And they're not locked. I think you can open it up.
No, you can open it. It's easy
Yeah.
enough. Yeah, right.
And if you wait long enough, it'll probably beep. And you could just disconnect the battery yourself and dispose of it properly, and then it's over.
Correct.
It would be on the wall.
On the wall.
Kind of near your electric panel if it's outside, or inside the garage, near the garage door potentially.
It's
Okay.
usually about, face height, shoulder height, depending on how tall you are.
Okay, we have reached the end of the agenda, and we do have one property improvement application to look at, but do we have any homeowners wanting to chat with a new business? This would be the time. If not, we will adjourn to our property improvement applications. Do we have any requests? Okay. Well, Patrick, you're asking, can we get the list of additions probably behind all the, Additions for the, I'm not following what you mean by additions for the common area. And we get a list of additions. What do you mean by additions? Oh, okay. So this is the rules. I think you're talking about the rules and regulations that Tom has drafted or redrafted, or we've taken a stab at revising. Yeah, the idea is that when we're ready, and we're pretty close to being ready, they'll be available to everybody to look at. And the intent is to get all comments and kind of come up with one consensus document, or there might be a couple versions of something, and then run that through the, it would have to be adopted by the site authority. And it's not a change to the ground sublease. This is a rules and regulations that the site authority can from time to time amend without changing the sublease. The subleases, 600 of them, you know, you can't change, you would have to get 600 people to sign something to change a sublease, I think, unless the lease itself allows this kind of a amendment. In a typical HOA, you have CC&Rs, for those of you who've lived in them, and then you have rules and regs. And the CC&Rs are recorded and can't be changed without votes and so forth. But the rules and regs can be changed by your HOA board, basically with notice to the proper notice to the residents. So it's similar to a rules and reg. And Tom has already written up some changes, and he'll be sharing those with everyone relatively soon. And you'll definitely get emails or a notice from Jake that it's available. It'll probably be on the web, on the website, and we're welcome. We will entertain all your comments, especially at the next meeting in March. How's that? Okay, so hearing no desire, any last chats? The changes are not in effect. They're just suggestions to this point. Okay, and they won't be in effect without you seeing them first, and all the way up to the site authority with several opportunities to make comments and make. At the moment, the 5 of us have reviewed the rules that are already in your sublease, and we've looked at the lease, the rules on the KW leases, and trying to harmonize the 2 sets of rules so that renters don't have something different than homeowners. We're trying to merge the 2 into one set of rules that everybody would have. Again, I think that's enough on that one. So that's forthcoming. Just stay tuned. Let's adjourn the meeting now with, I think so, that's appropriate. It is 7:15, and look at that, time certain, 7:15. So we can sign off, Rosa or Victoria, and remain, HAC, please remain online for the one property improvement application that Jake sent around right before the meeting. Check your email, and I think Rosa will probably, or Victoria will probably put it up on the screen.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for attending. Okay, we're down to 7, which is us 7. So I think we're good to go ahead with the PIA.
Okay, do you have it? It is, let me tell you where it is.
I have it.
Save the
Want me
chat.
to
Yeah,
share it?
you've got it. Go ahead,
Go ahead and share it. Okay.
if you can. Yeah.
I gotta put it on the same screen and say share. Host disabled share. I can't share.
Okay. Got it? 7. It was Tyler 197. Go to cam 197 and then it's on there.
While that's coming up, it's 311 Kyler Harbor. This is
Oh,
I,
right. And it's under the
the house
POA.
with the Spanish tiles. If you remember the several Spanish tiles around the door. Am I right, Jake? It's the same house?
It's across the house. It's across the street from it.
Oh, it's across. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, this is it. What we can do, this is a single family home. And this is an owner that purchased probably about 6-8 months ago. and it's the Spanish artistic ironwork. And basically it's go down to the picture at the bottom. This is the question that has come up is that you'll see, keep going, it's at the bottom. Here's the picture. This is from inside looking out to Kyler Harbor. This, you can see the retaining wall. This is the retaining wall between the sidewalk, flower bed, planter, and the single family. And to date, I am not aware that we have allowed anybody to put a gate at that location. There are gates, you know, on people's houses and things like that. And other townhouse people have put gates, you know, in the past at, you know, in the archway with their various, when they do wrought iron, and we've approved that. This is the first time that I have seen this at the location of a single family between the common area and the exclusive use area of the single family homes.
And it's attached to the wall, right?
It's attached to the wall. And
So Jake-
go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So this gate is not there at the moment.
It is there. She put it in and I told her, I said, look,
Okay,
you need to submit this.
gotcha.
You
So
know.
she put it in, now she wants approval for what has been
That's
done.
what she's looking at, right?
Got it. Okay,
And her comment was she wanted to do it so that she could keep her dog inside the area. I understand that. It's just, you know, this is from a protocol standpoint, wanted to bring it to your attention and whether this is a precedent we want to set.
so on the inside of that gate, there looks like there's a garden bed on each side. Is that the owner's responsibility to
Yes.
maintain?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Jake, does the gate swing into the house or out to the sidewalk? If you
Good
know?
question. I
Looks
don't
like
know
it
that for
swings
sure.
in. It seems like the hinges seem to be on this side.
They'd be on the coming in.
Yeah, so they would swing in. So it's not really like a hazard to anyone on the sidewalk in any way.
No, it isn't a hazard in the sense of a egress concern.
Yeah.
But does code regulate which way a gate swings for egress?
Good question. I don't know when they're away from the building. You know, this is probably what, 15 feet away from the front door.
Not really a fire exit or anything.
Yeah.
So this would be sort of a precedent. You sort of hinted that some townhouses have something like this in between arches and other places.
Well, yes, if you look at some of the people who have installed wrought iron, you know, they have wrought iron and then they want to put a gate across the archway. And they put a gate there, you know, so that they can basically contain the entire area.
We
And
still
so-
have an attendee.
Huh?
I
What'd you
said
say, Kevin?
We still have an attendee, you know that, right?
Oh,
It does look nice. I think it looks nice.
Do we have Daniel on the call still?
Danielle Meehan. We can,
Okay, so
Well,
is there an aesthetic issue, Jake, in terms of how it looks?
I don't think there's from my standpoint, when I talked to this owner about it, she commented that she had made it look like the one that was across the street at the other single family, that the archway, you know, where the gate is in the archway.
Right.
And because she doesn't have an archway, she thought she could put it here.
And
All right.
are those steps just on the other side of the gate?
One,
it's a one step, yeah. And there's a light there.
But I thought that we established that on above the steps, it's then their space, right? This is their space.
Yes.
I didn't know we had established that. That's good to know.
I think we
Well-
kind of, when we did the tile, we sort of. said that.
Exactly. We talked about somebody wanted to put tile on the steps. We kind of said, well, on the steps was somehow still common space, somehow still our problem. but then above the steps, we let somebody put tile, I think, above the steps, but we would let them put them on the steps. So this is
Right.
above the steps. And technically they're responsible for that wall, right? I mean,
No,
although we
no.
have,
They put that, the wall is our responsibility. The wall, that wall is, and all the walls along there that the irrigation is along,
Mhm.
those the single family owners put money into to paint. And if there's a crack or something, that comes out of single family owners' money.
okay,
So we could approve this and basically say if there's any subsequent damage to the stucco, et cetera, it's the homeowner's responsibility from the hinge mountings.
yeah, just to
Conceivably you
cover,
could, yeah.
just to be like,
And the owner also has to maintain the gate, paint it.
Maintain
Yes.
the gate. I think the other thing that you could also say is that when you leave, you can take the gate with you.
Perhaps if the next owner wants it, but the
I think-
bonus,
Yeah, yeah, you get it, guys. It's a precedent. Do you want to see these gates on every location? You know, and this, admittedly, this is a place that can accommodate it. You know, if you look across the way at the top of the stairs, there isn't enough wall to put a gate.
yeah.
You know, so in that sense, it is a specific location. But I know that there are several locations where I'm just cautious about people thinking that they can do that. And it's uncomfortable because it's afterwards.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Well, we wouldn't want gates to extend above the height of the fence, of the walls, for example. You wouldn't want to put a 5-foot gate here and try to build something like that when the walls are only 2.5 feet high.
So I got a dumb question. Chris, you can answer this, or Jake, I'm sure you can. Where's a mailbox for a single family home?
it's at the same pedestals that all of ours are.
Okay. So there's no, I mean, normally there's no reason for anyone to come through that gate unless they're a visitor or a resident.
Correct.
Landscape crew doesn't
Amazon.
need to go there. The mailman doesn't need to go there. I suppose delivery does, but okay. Quite honestly, I'm a little worried about the steps being there right by the gate. You know, I'm kind of the person who never sees the elephant in the room, and I can see myself opening the gate, stepping out, and missing the step because I'm focused on the gate.
I hear you.
Well, I will recommend approval and write conditions that the owner will maintain the gate and the hinges, that if the hinges result in any damage to the walls, they will be responsible for that, that at the time of sale, it would be removed, and it's not to be locked in some fashion that Amazon and other deliveries can't get inside there, drop something off.
Or EMS, or
Anybody.
Right. Do you think it would be prudent to run this past Dave Carlson regarding whether there are any code issues?
I think my experience is one step is not, is it one or two?
It's one.
It's one.
It's only one.
One step is not trigger railings or any kind of significant,
Well, maybe I need to look. It looks like it might be two, doesn't it?
might be two, yeah.
Little ones, yeah.
Yeah.
Let me take a look at it.
Take a look at it.
It's so close to the steps, and again, if someone falls, then who's responsible for the any injury? It's
Well,
And it may be that there's something that, it needs to be like a platform, that it needs to be clear 36 inches or 42 inches from the step.
I probably should check and see if there's a code issue.
Yeah.
I guess.
I'll add that into the condition, subject to review by
You can say campus architect.
campus architect, okay. So that's my motion. If there or anybody else want to,
I'll second.
Tom's okay with it. Kevin, you all right? Wave, okay. That's
Okay.
3. Anybody else? Okay, we're good.
Okay, so I will forward this for a conversation with Dave Carlson, and I may take another picture that shows on the other side the number of steps and see if there's a code violation. And I'll let you know if there is. Okay.
And Jake, look, it doesn't look like there's a light. My front step has a light built into the wall. I think, I don't know,
I'm not sure this one does.
Yeah. I guess it wasn't required, but that some houses do and some don't.
Some do, some don't. Yeah.
Okay. Just to update everybody, the site authority meets Monday at 11:30. The community, the CAG meets next Thursday at 4 p.m. And then we would meet again on March 18th. Oh, and one final thought. It's not too soon to be thinking about elections and so forth. And some of us would like to maybe do something else if we can round up and shake the bushes for some residents to take their turn in managing or being on the HAC, and hopefully get a more than just 2 or 3, get a healthy group and have a, like we did last year, a candidates meeting, et cetera, et cetera. So keep that in mind as you talk to people. And any other last thoughts before we end the meeting at 7:27?
Good deal.
All right. Everybody have a nice evening.
Hey, I'm sorry, I do have one last thing. This is just a note to Jake. At the last meeting, this has to do with financial reporting. So, and Sandy drove this, Sandy Boyd. Did we reach an agreement that quarterly financials would be posted?
Yes,
Okay, and my assumption is quarterly financials includes both reserve activity and operating activity.
correct.
Okay, right now I'm
And-
only seeing reserve.
Okay, yeah, okay, that's fine. That's fine. Thanks for bringing it to my attention. We've been focusing on the reserve
Yeah.
and
that's-
various things. So,
That's because of me, so you can blame me for the distraction, but yes,
thank you, Tom.
operating
So-
as well. Thank
so,
you.
Yeah, your point's well taken. I can bring that up with our accountant, with Chris, and we can talk with Rosa about that. Okay.
All right.
And for your information, Tom, just on the reserves, the quarterly statement on the reserves, we're looking at condensing it considerably. There were some security issues that the site authority had with putting out who our vendors are and, information about them.
Okay.
So we're working on that as well. So if it goes away, it'll come back in a more concise form with numbers, probably just a one. We're working towards a one sheet.
Yeah, it can be real simple. It should
Yeah.
be.
Yeah,
it
and that's
should
what
be.
we're working for.
Easy
okay.
for everyone to read and understand. Yep.
Okay, thank you for bringing that up, Tom.
Okay, everybody, I am out of the house.
Okay, very good.
Bye.
Thanks, folks.
Great, thanks.
Let me ask some questions.